Yes, good afternoon, ladies and playboys. I'm sorry to be late, but the taxi driver didn't find it because I went to the old Metropole, which used to be the tech university here in 20 years ago. But I found you. I've been working a lot also with Peter, so you know what he's doing, so that's what I've been doing last 10 years, might say. Connecting companies within these side streams. But I got fed up a little bit with that, with the waste and side streams and chemicals and liquids. Because sometimes or many times what is missing is the customer. And now I work now with the manufacturing industry, which is the very advanced machinery and products which they are producing, like Connect Range, Nokia networks, and so on. But also with the SMEs. And they are all on circular economy nowadays. But only few companies actually understand what it means to get that in an operational model and embed that into their strategies. But those who do, they are the winners of the world. And the idea behind this is that don't produce any more side stream, because there is something wrong with your process if you are producing waste or side stream. If Mother Nature would design a process, it wouldn't create waste. So simple. But we all know that we have to deal with this side stream, and we have to do it. But I think it's the beginning. Then we have to go beyond and think about how to change the whole system. So, this is Sitra's vision. We want to be a pioneer of sustainable well-being, and I think you all know what Sitra is doing. And main strategy, we have 3 issues. Circular economy is the one, impact investment is number 2, and fair data economy is number 3. And actually, when you think about the industrial processes and ecosystem, those all 3 components are there inside. So I can do this in 3 hours, which I did just recently in Warsaw, or I try to do this now in 15 minutes with you. But and what is sometimes also missing, so when I mentioned the chemical industry, because usually these startups come to me and they say, look what I innovated. I said, okay, very good, fantastic. What can you do with it? Everything, from the plastic to the metal industry, everybody can use this. And I said, okay, who's your first client? I don't know, because they don't understand, because this is so great and nobody understands that. And other thing is that they love so much what they have created that that's their only love. And they totally forgot that you have to have somebody who are you creating that side stream or whatever you are producing. So that's why we took, we had a project that we just made a business plan for these companies. And then they identify themselves within the ecosystem, your role, and then you think about where you want to be in that. And who are you producing this to? What will you receive? So you cannot be only sustainable in one part of this. You have to think about your clients and people who surround you, and also the money. In the future, maybe it might not be money. It can be other side stream. It can be a marketplace of side stream, but whatever. Something that you give and you get something back. But you have to have that somebody who gives you something. It doesn't work. Of course, if we wouldn't that be most ecological if we wouldn't have heating at all? It would be very also business-wise cheap to live, but it would be very good during the winter. So these type of simple ideas, you can always, when you create side stream, think about all of these 3, not just that this is a nice piece of shit or something which you can produce fuel or something, but think about what is it for, who is using that, who is paying you for that. So is there value in it? And one thing is always that you have to, of course, you are always local, but design the thing globally, have global minds behind that. Because these are global problems that we are solving, not just the local in Helsinki or Espoo or London or wherever. So there is your potential, but then decide that who is the one that I'll sell the first one. And there is a lot of, usually when you talk about circular economy, huge potential, fantastic, lovely, and just get on and do something. But then the customers and SMEs comes to me and hey, where's the business case? We are already recycling. We are taking care of our waste. We are trying to use renewables as much as possible, but we don't get any revenue. We just get something behind, a little bit better under the balance sheet or the result. So usually it's about EBIT, efficiency or such. But where is the new businesses? So that's why we created this playbook for companies in order to start to rethink what they are really doing and why and to whom, and create a systematic way to analyze and assess what you are doing right now. And the one key thing was that all the big ones are already doing. This is $1 billion business, remanufacture your machines. $1 billion business to give the engines as a service to the air fleets. And it's $1 million business to sell tires as a service instead of selling them as a tires. And it's $1 billion business to manufacture components with the Bosch production line. So these companies started that already some years ago. So when we started, I discussed, of course, with this one and took them with our process and project. For example, and I love this one. You know, the lock company. They say that we don't want to produce waste at all. So 100% sustainable company. And actually SSAB, the steel that they produce here in Finland, it's 99% recycled. And so on. And these are shared, they have R&D centers that they share with their clients throughout the world. So it's a sharing economy innovation. And so on and so on. So they all are already doing. ABB has a motor hotel. If your electric engine goes broken, you can give it to me and we fix it and give you another one. And it can be anybody's engine. So in that case, you engage the customer to you. And after that, you start to sell them new services, predictive maintenance and such. So this technology has changed. I think that within the last 3 years, this digitalization has changed the game. Because now you know what you have inside your processes. You can optimize, predict, analyze, and have metrics on everything what you do. But the other thing is, but you can do the same thing to your customer. You give the right delivery for them. And also new business models. And actually I met a Danish guy, when you talk about these side streams, they have a little, I don't know what is it, actually ceramics or something. You can put it in all side stream or whatever material. Then you can track it where it goes to, in each component. So this will be a very, very different game than just producing something then thinking that somebody will buy it. You know exactly what you are doing, what does it cost, where it is, and how much you should get back from it. And also one thing is the openness. Customer knows everything what you do, from the beginning to the end of the process and product. So that's what we started to think about, how about our SMEs and smaller companies. And we created this playbook. It's about opportunities and inefficiencies which you have in your processes and unexploited engagements with your client. Then you start to think, what sort of business model should we jump in? And what would be beneficial for us? And you assess everything, you calculate what you do. And then you think about what capabilities are needed, because it's a totally different game than it used to be. And your competitors are totally different than they used to be. And what technologies do we need? And how to make the transfer, and how to do the roadmap. And then we have 90 cases there, so you can benchmark what others have done. So we had 50 companies who started to do this, and now there are about 2,000 companies who are doing this process. And I hope that there will be 500,000 end of this year, because it's in my bonus as well, you know. But this is the biggest one. Everybody started to think, why are we doing, first of all, and this is very important, how you design what you are doing. Is it really recyclable? Is it really stay very long life cycle? What happens after it's done? The end of life? Does it go back, or does it stay in your backyard, or what happens? But this is This has been the biggest. People start to think about, hey, why don't we do this? Why do we do that? Let's do it a different way. And, and companies are already doing that globally. These are just examples which I gave you. And these are the business models which are most attractive to create new revenue. And when you combine these two things, here is the value chain, the regular. It can be a little bit different, but usually it's something like this. So these new business models makes it circular. And these are not actually, this is something that companies are already doing, these below here. But these ones are the ones sharing platforms, product as a service or performance as a service. I have some examples for you. And these were the companies who were with us in the beginning. Some of them don't exist anymore. They had a too big deal in Africa, actually, one of these, and couldn't handle that. So they went off. Sorry, it happens. Sometimes these superstars who we think will be the future winners, they are not. So they saw out that couldn't handle that. But that's why you need the whole ecosystem behind you. These sort of enabling companies and different types of organizations and bigger companies in order to understand how do we function and help you with the financing, new softwares, IoTs, and so on. And this was one of the company who was with us. It's EREK. It's very high-tech startup, about 5 years old. And they do these very thin films, which if you have a sort of sport, who is following everything in your body? Nobody. Nobody in this room. Okay, very close to this. So they do these films in those watches and I don't know what kind of wrist system they are, and many other surfaces. And they haven't thought about the circularity when they designed it, or the afterlife value. And now they do, and now it's also they are selling this as a service, so you don't have to buy this anymore. You just pay me a fee each month. And this is very interesting because it's a very sort of typical Finnish company. They are producing chairs like this. And after they sold them to their clients, they didn't actually have any kind of action with them anymore. So what did it mean? Sometimes they get some sort of said that, oh, it's broken or something, but that was all. So with this concept, they thought that, hey, why don't we sell this meeting room as a service? So it includes the chairs, but also lighting, projector, and everything, heating and everything. Of course, they don't do that by themselves. They have an ecosystem there behind. But the idea is that if you want to change these chairs, you usually throw them there in the corridor and somebody's taking them away, and then you get the new ones. And you don't know actually what happens with them. So now they have a system that if you want to change it, because now we change our logo, or we want to change, what we have, whatever reason. So you take these out and give something instead of the present ones, and you bring these to the other office or meeting room. So you don't produce waste anymore. You just give this as a service, and you pay me a monthly fee. And you don't have to bother what if the projector is broken or something when the clients are coming, because everything is fixed. And this new way actually gave them a new push in the market. So they just won the Olympic stadiums, all the chairs, for example, here in Finland. Piironen, 5. Okay, give me 5, thank you. And this is very typical nowadays, that you predict your maintenance. It means that before it goes broken, you change the tire, or you change like here, the axle. And they started to think in their all processes, there's digitalization and possibilities within it. This is so what happens is the uptime of this driver's truck is all the time very high, and also it will be long lasting. This is very good example of, nowadays it's actually just air, not anymore supreme air power. Because you can have this only, monthly basis, paying the fee based on the outcome, what does this produce to you. So you use just the air you need, because usually in the processes you need electricity, you need water, and you need air. So that now you've got monthly payment each month based on the usage of the air you use. Not anymore. You have to have this is a 100,000 engine, compressor, and you need one guy to always to do something. This is remotely operated by thumb turbo, so you just get the air what you need. And they get monthly fee from them. But it's very hard, this business model, because smaller companies cannot handle this alone. Your balance sheet doesn't take it, because you cannot have these type of engines in your balance sheet when you're a very small company. So they need a third party to finance that. And now we actually, there's a system that I sell this to him and I lease it back, and I bring the engine to you and you pay me fee and I pay you monthly rent. That's the way it goes. So they are very complex, but now European Investment Bank and Investment Fund has come to help, and they have intermediaries in each European countries to help to raise the equity for the SMEs like they have. But it has been a very hard work. All of it's not easy, but once you do it, it's very profitable. And these are just an examples how many companies are already doing this and very successfully. I'm trying to little bit put some speed in the presentation. But it's not anymore about this and not anymore about only the revenue actually, but this as a service model brings you a good solid revenue. And if you think why is it beneficial for the environment, is that if I own the engine and I optimize and predict, you do the predictive maintenance and follow the whole road from the beginning to the end, the emissions will be much, much lower and the life cycle will be much, much longer. Because usually if you are producing something, the end user is the problem. Because usually you drive the car, you push it like boom, so you can do steadily. It's same with the boats and all of these. So always what these production companies are worried about is that the emissions go high when our clients start to use it. So when we operate it, they will stay lower, or somebody else in our ecosystem. But this is also very important, this brand value, and some of Finnish company doesn't really understand how important it is. But even in States now, when 3 years ago I was talking about this, they were like crazy. Now there was an investor who just had a 500 million fund raised, and he's in San Francisco, and said that this is fantastic. This is actually what we are looking for. So it's also, and all the customers in States, they try to, if you have nowadays, if you have an apparel or whatever, clothing even, the used or recycled materials, it's much, much more favorable. So end consumers are also expecting to have, you have to be real with what you are doing, and the brand doesn't have this value if you you don't have the circularity or sustainability in it. And this is very, very, now I'm actually getting to one biggest point is that instead of having the, we are always so proud of our production, but now you have to start to think about your client and you have to be proud of your customer. So this, you are here in the middle, and automotive industry will go from selling the cars to the sharing the car. Instead of having that in your parking place, if somebody is using that. So we don't need anymore so many cars. So this will be very, very soon the future. And nowadays even BMW is doing this. They have this sharing platform. It's called Drive Now. You can use that in Helsinki. And then you can have it as a service as well. So you pay monthly fees if you want. But the manufacturing is actually here in the outer loop. And the maintenance and the life cycle prolonging system is very close to you. And of course, this, all what you are talking about is very crucial. This will be the biggest, most important thing, of course, when you think about material. Most of it will be recycled and also renewables. So if you think about this maths within circular economy, this is just the tip of the iceberg, but you get, huge savings and good value and good return of equity as well if you invest in this and go towards that. And this is something that many investors are always asking me, where are these unicorns within the circular economy or industrial symbiosis? They starting to be these type of companies who have the sharing platforms, or they have a system to circulate, system to share, and if you have that, you have a revenue model that is close to the hockey stick. And instead of, this is something else, instead of just, as you know, in industrial symbiosis, you have a two-way revenue model, meaning that first you take care of somebody's waste and you turn that into the valuables. So in this type of model, you have many of these revenue streams. And this goes along also within the bio. It's the same. And you don't know actually, you can be actually very, very important farmer with the special catalogs in these certain cars. So this is a huge, huge potential in this. And you are actually in the automotive business or energy industry. So and this is where you have to go when you think about your streams. You have to have all these, also money flow, information flows, not only where the material goes. And who is the client, who is paying, what is your position, how can I be better? And you need to change the mindset and change, do the, you know, the also new strategy for you, thinking about what we're going to do next. ABB said that within the 5 years, if we don't start to change our businesses in all our actions and processes, we will be out of business. And of course, these type of business models, these are very the typical ones, so it's incremental businesses and very low risk, and it's sort of secured money. They have a lot of money for these type of businesses. But this, as I told you about the balance sheet, you have to have that widened. And here, if you start to do the sharing platforms, there where the big money lies, because there are a lot of people. So you have to think about how you behave, who is your client, and totally change all of these values, mindsets. And we have a company called Kembu in Finland. There's a banker and anthropologist, because always people are asking that, where is the little people in these pictures? I said, it's the essential. And these values as well, and I told you about the brand. And what is the definition for the values? How can you determine, or how do you know that is about the values that the people are really changing their mindsets? Do they just say it, or do they do it? And it's about how do you act when nobody's supervising you? Do you really do what you are saying? And this is nowadays the thing, that because everybody knows what you do all the time, so you cannot lie anymore, and that's why, because of these new technologies. So that's why everybody has to be very, very secure what you do, and you cannot do this alone. You have an ecosystem behind you, and use these people who help you and work with you, and don't try to do everything alone. So customers, investors, and people, with this type of businesses, you get the sense of purpose. Thank you very much.
Are you going to stay here for the coffee break? Okay, just one question. The circular economy playbook, it's in English.
Yes.
So, these people are sort of business intermediaries, most of them. So can they use it? Can they help companies to?
Yes. Sorry. Most important. Where you get it from is here. Very small. Usually I have a bigger one. I'm always encouraging companies to market, but did you see it somewhere else? It was there.
In the beginning?
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
Use it. And I've been doing this in actually now Eastern European countries have been very interested also, because the lack of business cases, the willingness within the companies has been like reluctant. They are not so keen on circularity, but now they are when they understand that good business for us. So I was just in Warsaw doing this for 3 hours, and before that in Budapest, Copenhagen, and different countries, and it's really, they are all using that. And I'm also encouraging, you know, you only need actually these 3 pages to start with the companies. This one, so I usually ask, from the production to the customer, all these people, usually also a counter and a supply chain manager, production guy, but also commercial sales guys. They are very keen on this. But you start to do, why are we doing these things? And then usually somebody, I have always said that this is so stupid. And they say, yeah, it is. And we are losing money all the time. And also the other thing, this one. Oh, why don't we? So I usually put this on the very big, on the table, and we start to do all, firstly with the handprint. Because then you get engagements. Because, of course, the leaders and managers of the company, hey, we are very proud, hey, we are doing this. And I make money with that. We do this, we do this. What about if we forget our intermediaries there in the market? Why don't we just sell directly to the companies? Because it could be possible. Just do this type of platform where the customers can take our engine whenever they want. For example, one company which is lifting people here, I can't say the name now, but you know. But it's a smaller one of the small ones in Loima. But they started to think about this immediately. And those guys in the production, why don't we do this and this and this? Why don't we sell our spare parts when we sell the engine? Because they will want them in very soon. So why don't we put them in the same shipment? First with the little good things, and then bigger leap. Yes, but use it.
Many thanks, Jyri.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.